Now, I'm delighted to say Tom English is with us to give us a perspective from Scotland this morning. Tom, good morning to you. How are you?
I'm all right, Ger. Yourself?
Yeah, pretty good. That was there's a lot of hype and there's a lot of bluster about the Six Nations, but like it's fixtures like this that make it all actually true. All the cliches are cliches because in this instance they turned out to be true.
Yeah, listen, certainly for the first 40 minutes and maybe the first 50, 55 minutes, it was as good a contest as you're going to see. I thought it was not high scoring, but high class from both teams. I thought it was a magnificent battle. So many good things happening. And I think in the end, Ireland's class and nous and leadership won the day. They had loads of that, and Scotland didn't have nearly enough of
it feels like Scotland, defeats like this, they can take them one of two ways. There's loads of different ways they can take them, but it does feel like Scotland are really building something meaningful, and that they didn't lose that much by losing that game. That actually, Gregor Townsend spoke afterwards about how the gap is closing, and it actually really felt like that. It did feel like Scotland could easily win this game. There's a path for them to win this game. There's a chance butchered, I think, is it just at the end of the first half, where if they'd scored that, it would have been very, very interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, but it's a case of coulda, woulda, shoulda, Jerry, you know. And I take what Townsend is saying about the gap closing. I'm not sure I agree with it. This was the eighth defeat in a row for Scotland against Ireland. The previous seven, the average winning margin for Ireland was 14 points. This was 15. The average try count in those 7 games before Sunday was 3-1 for Ireland. It was 3-1 again. So, yeah, Scotland have got better. There's no question. Scotland have got better, but so have Ireland. And I think the gap remains. The closer it got to kick-off, the more I was puzzled as to how Scotland could win this game unless Ireland were off it. And how many times have we seen Ireland being off it to an extent where they expose themselves to defeat in the last 12 months? I mean, it's Ireland's ability to keep good teams scoreless for huge chunks of a match is incredible. They did it to New Zealand twice, the second and third test in the summer. They did it to South Africa. They did it to Australia. They did it to France. And now they've done it to Scotland. Scotland scored their only points in the 17th minute, didn't score anything after that. You know, I didn't think that would happen. But Ireland's ability to, and also to withstand adversity. Players dropping like flies, they get stronger. You know, it's a testament to Ireland's squad depth. Gibson Park comes on off the pitch, on the pitch after 54 minutes, and within a minute he's causing havoc. You know, it's amazing. This Ireland squad is something special.
It was obviously a weekend of Ireland-Scotland fixtures, and Ireland put up a record number against the under-20s. Is there anything that we should be worried about from a Scotland perspective, where they're shipping 80 points in an under-20s game against Ireland?
No, not coming through. You look at both countries, and this is as good as it gets for Scotland. And I think this is a pretty good side. And I think they're getting better, and probably will get better again. But there's no cavalry on the hillside. Whereas for Ireland, I mean, the cavalry fills the hillside. So Ireland just in the most spectacularly good place, the best place Irish rugby has ever been in terms of the national team, no question. And I think they'll go on and win the Grand Slam. So I think for Scotland, you know, it's dispiriting, even though they put a lot of good stuff into the game. And if they beat Italy with a bonus point next week, they'll almost certainly finish third, which will represent progress. But against Ireland, the gap is still huge, and we've got this World Cup game coming up. And I'm not sure Scotland truly believe that they're good enough to beat this Irish team. They've conquered the hoodoo of winning in Wales, excuse me, under Gregor Townsend. They've conquered winning in Twickenham after 38 years without doing it. They've conquered Paris after 22 years without a win. The big bogeyman is Ireland now. And I don't think they're that much closer to turning over Ireland when Ireland are on song. And Ireland are always on song these days. There's very, very few chinks of light, even when you have a 35-year-old prop playing hooker and you have an open side flanker thrown into the line out. Still, there's this steel and this extraordinary winning machine just cranks it up another gear.
Tom, there was a moment that I noticed in the second half where Johnny Sexton kicks either a conversion or a penalty and turns around to the crowd and kind of gives it a little smirk, because he clearly was not getting maybe the silence and respect that kickers ordinarily get. We have a comment in this morning on the YouTube from Neil Smith. He says, lads, I don't know what you think, but the Scots were infuriating. The crowd jeering our kicks and mistakes, Hogg, etc., shoving players in the sideline, just childish stuff. What was it like at Murrayfield? Did you get that sense that there was a bit of shithousery from the Scots?
No, I didn't. I thought for the first half, I think everyone was so engrossed in it that they forgot to kind of shout and roar. I thought it was kind of quiet for a lot of it. And I don't know, the Sexton, let's be honest, kickers don't mind. Sexton has been around forever.
Yeah.
Does it matter a damn to him if a crowd boos or stays silent? I don't think it does. I really don't think it does. I think he'd probably prefer the noise. So it gets him going, it fires him up. Competitive juices and all that. I think it's just a cut and thrust. There was a bit of needle between the players at various times, a couple of late shots on both sides. But no, I didn't get any sense that this was a really intimidating Murrayfield at all.
I think Hogg turned around and celebrated when the try got scored, but Jack Conan did exactly the same thing when somebody got tackled into it's It's definitely a lot of green tinted glasses going, oh, they're very mean to us. I'm like, yeah, they should be. It's a big game.
Yeah,
let them at it.
Yeah, it's a big game, and if there's there's a lot of emotion involved in it. So if someone turns around to somebody else and points the finger after the score, let's not make a big deal of it.
Well, I agree. I think that, and I think you're dead right too. There's a lot of nonsense about the quiet for the kicker, which
yeah,
like a snooker player.
Well, the pub's being shushed. Shut up. Come on.
Well, yeah, I mean, listen,
well, that's ridiculous.
Limerick, when I was on the Irish rugby beat, you go to a Munster game and then you go into Miles Breen's bar in Limerick, in the middle of Limerick, 8 hours later, and the match would be played on the big screen at 11 o'clock at night. And the whole pub will be calling for quiet for Rodgers' penalty.
I mean, that's a bit. I acknowledge that there's a commitment to the bit there that I'm in favour of.
And if you had the temerity to talk while Rodgers was kicking 8 hours after the match was over, you were in big trouble in the bar.
It sounds like you were chatting away there, Tom.
I was showing total disrespect.
Personal experience. Look, we're trying to get we're getting to that point now where we're allowing ourselves to be carried away as supporters of a thing that's a really beautiful thing that's unfolding before ourselves, and that's the whole point. I keep making the point on the show. The whole point about sport is you're supposed to love it. You're supposed to love it. We have a team that is fully deserving of all the love that we have.
Totally, they're an awesome team. As I said, a winning machine. They've beaten all comers in the last 12 months. We've only, for all the success as a rugby nation, we've only ever won 3 Grand Slams. And none of them in Dublin. So this is a massive, massive opportunity. Admittedly, again, Andy Farrell said this post-match against an England team that's hurting big time. But a hurting England, I still don't think they beat a switched-on Ireland. I actually don't even think they come all that close to beating a switched-on Ireland. And the professionalism, we talk about all the class and the nous and the leadership and the depth, but the professionalism in this Irish squad is off the scale as well. So the notion, the country can go mad, great, why wouldn't we? We know that the players in the management team are going to have their feet so much on the ground, they may as well be cemented in the grounds of Carton House this week. I think they're just ruthless, and I'd fall off my chair if they didn't close the deal. on the weekend.
You feel like, Tom, they're psychologically brilliant as well, because there's even a moment in the second half when Fagerson, I think it was, for Scotland, hits a comically bad forward pass, and the two teams go into two respective huddles. And I think Donal Lenihan mentioned on the commentary as well that the body language of the two huddles was drastically different, and that was something that really stood out.
I think after, there was this leading up when about 55 minutes in, a number of things happened that were, Scotland changed their props, and their two props were really, really good. And I still think there was plenty of juice left in the tank, but Townsend changed them. I think that was a mistake. And then the first scrum after that, with Healy playing hooker, Ireland won a penalty. I think that was a big moment. Psychologically, I think that was a big moment, because a couple of minutes later, James Lowe scored. And I think if that wasn't lights out for Scotland psychologically, the fact that Ireland scored again very soon after, a couple of minutes after, with Conan, and that's just after the hour mark. And at that point, you're looking at Scotland, and I think the body language is, we're a beaten team here. We don't believe we can get back into this. They tried their hearts out. But the message I was getting from them, just looking at them, was, we can't beat this Ireland team. And that is, obviously that was damaging on the day, but it has spin-off effect for the World Cup. I think Ireland have got into Scotland's head over the last 7-8 matches now, and have done untold psychological damage that most other teams in the world haven't done to Scotland. In fact, Scotland have done it to them by going on, winning big matches. But this Ireland team is different gravy.
Hopefully they can do it against South Africa for us, and we win the group and avoid France. Tom,
when is the World Cup chat going to start, lads?
I mean, I think we started 3 years ago, Tom.
Yeah.
I'm not lying. Great to have you with us. Thanks a million. Cheers.
Cheers, lads. All the best.
Cheers, Tom.
Tom English there, giving us the view from Scotland this morning. It's a minute